Coming into contact with Paul Robeson changed my life. He was very much ahead of his time, and I always say that the kinds of things that Martin Luther King and Malcolm X are known for having said, Paul Robeson was saying them 30 years before. When I first heard his name, I was a self-employed architect. 26 years later, I am a touring actor-singer. So I've been telling Paul Robeson's story on stage since 2008. My name is Tayo Aluko. I'm a writer, actor, and singer. I learned about Paul Robeson on June 23rd, 1995, because the Friends of Sefton Park Palm House had a fundraising event, and I chose to sing a song called My Lord What a Morning, a spiritual. And after the event, a lady came up to me and said, you remind me of Paul Robeson. And I didn't know him at that point. But luckily, about 2 months later, I was in the library in Liverpool, and there was this book up on the shelf, Paul Robeson. I recognized it and borrowed it, and it really changed my life completely. Paul Robeson was an African-American actor and singer and civil rights activist. He was born in Princeton, New Jersey in 1898. His father had actually been born into slavery in North Carolina. Paul showed promise right from the start and actually got a scholarship to a very prestigious school which was otherwise all white, called Rutgers College. And he excelled there in academics, in sports, and debating. And he did his acting and singing there as well. He became a lawyer, but was unable to practice because of the racism in New York. So he decided to become an actor and a singer. Most famously, he played the role of Joe in Showboat at the Theatre Royal in Drury Lane in 1928. During that run, he ran into a group of Welsh miners who had walked from South Wales to London to highlight their plight because they were being exploited, basically. And he met them and realized for the first time that white people could be exploited too. And that was the beginning of his interest in socialism, and eventually he became very connected to the Soviet Union, which got him into a lot of trouble. The painting of Othello, it's a very odd scene because it's got Othello and Desdemona, and Othello's got his foot on an unnamed character, whether it's Cassio or Iago, I don't know. His physique was one of the things that was particularly attractive to people in the arts. There are reviews of Othello, for instance, which I believe mentioned the sheer presence of this big, muscly black man with a beautiful, deep voice. And he was photographed a lot, and there are paintings and busts of him. I'm not just telling his story because he was an interesting man. I tell Paul Robeson's story because he introduced me to the idea of socialism. And I think that in the life of Paul Robeson, I learned a lot about modern history, from the history of pre-slavery Africa to slavery to colonialism, anti-colonialist struggles, to civil rights in the United States, and internationalism, fight for oppressed people all over the world. His story, for me, is very inspiring and can teach people a lot, which is why I never ever tire of telling his story through my play called Mr. Robeson.